Shubhodayam. Welcome to all to this Macmillan session. Ajnana is not negative. Ajnana is what we are born with. It is the data. It is a starting point. And then, as we proceed in the life, the knowledge keeps coming. Though the knowledge comes, there is so much we do not know. We think that we know a lot of things, but it may not be that we don't know about it. Like the way that the child does not know the alphabets in the beginning, but as the child starts going to the school, kindergarten, learns alphabets, and will be so happy when the newspaper comes home, looks at the newspaper, identifies all the letters, and starts thinking, this is what dad reads. But then the child also has a surprise that what is it every day dad reads about these things? I can also identify all the alphabets, he can also identify all the alphabets. What is big about it? What is great about it? He will not understand it. But then as we proceed, he knows that it is not just alphabets, but it is much more than that. This way, that the more that you know, that there is a lot more that you do not know, that we will be introduced into. Knowledge is something which keeps coming. You can block the knowledge, all right, but if you keep yourself open, the knowledge comes. The knowledge about the world, the knowledge about various things that we know. One more thing is that you get this knowledge by questioning, and we all have the ability to question. That's why the human being is different from the other species, that he can acquire this particular knowledge. When we are born with two things. One is ignorance, and the other is innocence. Every child is born with ignorance, and every child is born with innocence, and ignorance is not bad. That's why we don't make a point to child to saying that what is this, you don't have the knowledge. The ignorance can be slowly overcome with the help of acquiring this knowledge. And as the child grows, acquires the knowledge. So the ignorance is removed by the knowledge. That's what is jnana. And then as we grow, we acquire more and more knowledge. Ignorance is removed. But then, what happened to this innocence? We have lost that innocence. Child is wonderful not because of ignorance. Child is actually wonderful because of the innocence the child has. There was no reason why we should lose that innocence. There was no reason why we should have lost innocence. Because the knowledge belongs to ignorance, and knowledge can replace the ignorance. There is no way knowledge should replace our innocence. But look at what happened as we grow up. We become what we call in the modern language as smart. Smart means that you lost innocence. Great people are great because not only that they have knowledge, but they also have that innocence with them. In fact, that's what makes them extraordinary. A couple of examples of great people in the field of science and in the field of spirituality, I can recollect for the sake of understanding about the aspect of innocence, how it continues with the people. Even though the knowledge is coming, they see that their ignorance, innocence is preserved intact. We know one of the greatest ever, the scientist ever produced a history of science itself is Newton. And we know that he was working in the lab and he had a pet cat. The cat would come and make a noise on the door every time, and then he had to open the door to let the cat in. But after a few minutes, the cat would like to go out, like any cat does. So Newton is genius. He has a lot of knowledge. So he used all that knowledge and created a small little window on the door itself, so that the cat could easily push it from either side. When the cat wants to go out, would go out, and the door closes behind it. And then would cat come in, and then again the door closes behind Newton was very happy. And this is what is the knowledge. But when later on, a couple of years later, the cat laid 4 kittens and Newton made 4 more holes for the kittens. This is innocence. That same kittens could use the same hole that did not cut them. The same way Einstein, is a very great scientist. One day he was sitting in his lab working, and his friend invited him for dinner, and then he went to his friend's house, sitting there having dinner. After the dinner is over, they were sitting and talking and talking and talking. It was very late, but Einstein did not get up and go. The friend is also started looking at the watch. Einstein also started looking at the watch. And then, but nobody moves. And there is nothing else to talk, but they continue to talk. But as they keep talking, Einstein continued to look at his watch. The friend also started looking at his watch. But then after a while, Einstein took courage and said, how long should you continue to talk? Why don't you leave me alone? That person also said, sir, that is what I also think. Why don't you go home? He said, oh, I thought it is my home. See, this is the innocence of Einstein. In fact, I could recollect one more such incident from a very great scientist who is associated with Prashanthi. Lot of times he comes here. He is Dr. E.C.G. Sudarshan, Professor Sudarshan, very well known in the field of science, physics. And one day he took me to the shopping mall. He never goes to shopping mall by himself. Always his wife drives him. That is the secret behind it. But that day, wife said, why don't you take Raghu to the shopping and then you come back. So he took the keys and then he started driving the car. I was sitting in the passenger seat, and then we went to the shopping place. And then when we came out of the shopping, he came onto the passenger side and opened the door. I was thinking that, he was so courteous to open the door for me. And then he opened the door, but he sat himself and was showing me, come on the other side, sit down and drive. I said, I don't drive. No, this is my seat. He was arguing with me. I told him, sir, your wife did not come today. You are supposed to be driving. He said, oh, I forgot about that. These are the innocence of great people. That's why you can see that they are so extraordinarily brilliant, but at the same time, that their innocence is intact. One very important thing is, those who maintain that innocence are geniuses. They are not only having simple knowledge, they have extraordinary, wonderful knowledge. Any of these persons that you come across, you can see the blazing level of knowledge that they have. But then in our case, what happens? Why we lost that innocence? It is because when this knowledge removes the ignorance, it becomes knowledge. It becomes wisdom. Whereas when the same knowledge removes the innocence, it becomes arrogance. That means, and knowledge becomes wisdom, it is the right direction. When the knowledge becomes arrogance, then it removes your innocence. That's what we suffer from. Small little knowledge that we may have, but we become arrogant. Knowledge is wonderful, all right, but then the moment that it becomes arrogance, then that knowledge becomes such a great poison, there is nothing else which can really remove that suffering which because of that arrogance. So that is why continue to maintain the innocence. Like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was an extraordinary saint that we have in the last couple of centuries. There was no saint equivalent to him. And he also could see the great innocence that was there in his lifetime. Vivekananda, when he was a small boy, he was known as Naren. He would come to him almost like every day. And he actually would wait for Naren to come. And Thakur would wait, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Thakur would wait for Naren to come. The moment Naren comes, his face will become full of smile. And he says, oh, finally we have come. Every day he is coming, but every day he says like that. That was the kind of relationship between them. Once it so happened, for several days, Naren did not come to Thakur. That means he did not happen to come to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and then he was inquiring everybody, but then sending words to Naren, but probably the words were not reaching. At that time, then he made an inquiry that where Naren goes, in addition to coming to Thakur, where does he go? Actually, Naren was a very great singer. Before coming to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he was associated with the Brahma Samaj. And Brahma Samaj is a place they don't believe in all these gods and incarnations and all those things, where Thakur talks about God, talks about Kali, talks about Rama. So they used to make fun of Thakur, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, these Brahma Samaj people. But Naren used to go there to sing the songs of Brahma Samaj. A beautiful voice, wonderful singing. So he would go there, sing bhajans and then meditate. The bhajans of Nirguna Brahma, that is what they used to do. So Thakur came to know that Naren goes there, and the idol that they keep, because they don't pray any god, all that they have is one candle, one light, diya, and then they sit around the diya and then do their meditation and all that. And just by the side of the diya, Naren was sitting and singing beautiful song, and everybody was so lost in the melody with which Naren was singing. And then at that time, Thakur appears there. Everywhere it is dark, excepting that light that is there, and Naren is singing. And then Thakur comes from the front entrance, and as he is entering, he hears Naren's voice. Immediately he started calling, "Hey Naren!" And the moment Vivekananda heard his name, at once he felt, "Oh my God, what happened?" And now the people will make fun of him, because such a wonderful person he is. He is so innocent. He should not be ridiculed in this particular place, because Naren would sincerely love Thakur. So the moment he felt that, all this happened in twice of a second, and immediately look at his intelligence. He thought that Naren, Ramakrishna, Thakur should not be exposed to the others. So what way to do? Immediately he blew up the candle, the light was not there, and the next breath he took a leap to the front of the door, picked up Thakur and dragged him from behind the door, backside door, and then put him in a buggy, and then he sat, and then they started driving towards Dakshineshwar. All this happened in 1 minute, even before anybody else realized. Naren vanished from there. But sitting in the buggy, Naren started shouting at Thakur, "Why did you come here?" So innocent way, like children ask. Thakur started asking Naren, "So did I do a mistake?" I mean, he doesn't even know that what will happen. No, Naren said, "What is this? You came here, people will make fun of you." Immediately Thakur replied, "It's all right, people make fun of me, but I see how innocent Thakur was. So let us try to maintain that innocence, however much the knowledge that we have. That's what is the great important aspect of it. Every knowledge is not Jnana Yoga, but a knowledge which takes you towards that peace of mind. Innocence is the childlike nature, and that's what is a peaceful state. Every child is peaceful. We reach that state. This is what Jesus Christ says in Bible. He says, those who are like the children of God can only enter into the heaven. That means into the abode of God. So it is essentially that it is this innocence that is necessary. The knowledge is alright, but the knowledge coupled with the innocence when it is there, then only such kind of a knowledge will become Jnana Yoga. In fact, if you look at Krishna-Arjuna discussion that goes on, it is always known as Samvada. Krishna-Arjuna Samvade, like that we talk about. That means to say, it's a discussion that goes on. Yes, discussion brings about the knowledge. There are several places that have been included in that. Even here also, there is another shloka where it says, Pariprashnena sevaya upadeshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshana. Pariprashnena, that means again and again questioning He is the one which brings about this particular knowledge. Arjuna questioned, that's why Krishna brings about this knowledge. But when you observe the character of Arjuna there, you can see that how the transformation has taken place. In the case of Arjuna, so that he can go towards the spiritual journey. In fact, there are several things that we understand from this approach of Bhagavad Gita. One is that it was a war that was going on between Arjuna and then Duryodhana, the Kauravas and Pandavas. And Kauravas are represented by Duryodhana and Pandavas are represented by Arjuna. But then the Pandavas are supposed to be good. They have been all the time good. They were very sincere. In fact, earlier when the kingdom was given to them, in the name of the kingdom, the forest was given to them, they converted that forest into a beautiful kingdom. But then Duryodhana snatched by wrong means even that kingdom. That means you can see that how much of hardship that they have gone through, how much of goodness that they were there with them, and their leader was Arjuna. One thing about Arjuna is, Arjuna, by his samskara he was good. That means to say his brothers were good, mother was good, everything was good for him, right? And not only that, he was very honest. Added to all those things, he was very humble also. Even that also you can see that. Many times he says that I would like to fight a war, but at the same time he says, after all, my brother is the leader, whatever that he says I accept. There's another important thing is, honestly, by his own choice he was good. Like when they were in the Aranyavasa, when they were in the forest, at that time Arjuna goes to Indraloka for getting some special war weapons, and at that time Menaka comes there. The celestial angel, she comes to him and says that, look, let us get married. He said, look, I have come here for the purpose of learning the knowledge. I cannot marry you. You are like a mother for me because I have come here as a child. He says, in the Devaloka, in our consciousness, there is nothing like mother or child or anything like that. We are all lovers. But he says, no, I can't accept it. Then she says, I will even curse you. He says, even if you curse me, I cannot leave my path. See, that means to say how stubborn he was in his goodness. And that was Arjuna. On the other side, Duryodhana was bad right from the beginning to the end. Core, he was bad. In fact, there is another very important aspect of Duryodhana is, not only he is bad, he is stupid, evil. And that person, Duryodhana, was the leader of the other side. That means to say, essentially, the war is between good and bad. The war is between right and wrong. And they have come to the war field. And when this war field, the war between right and wrong, the Arjuna representing the right, Duryodhana representing the wrong. And when this war is going on, Arjuna had a problem, Duryodhana did not have a problem. Arjuna had agony. That means to say, the good started suffering. And the bad was happy. Duryodhana was happy all the more. In fact, when this discussion was going on between Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield, Bhishma and Duryodhana were waiting there for the signal for the war to be given by Arjuna. And everything was still. At that time, Duryodhana asked Bhishma, what is that happening? Why don't they start the war? He said, they must be discussing something very important. Let us not be in a hurry. No, we have to start the war. We have come here. Then Bhishma says, my dear son, you have brought war this far. The war will definitely take place. Don't be in a hurry to die. Let us wait for some more time. Then Duryodhana says, we are not going to die. Actually, they must be discussing, looking at our army, they must be frightened. And they must be discussing how to run away from this battlefield. Actually, what Duryodhana said, there is something truth about it, because Arjuna was trying to run away from the battlefield. But not for the reason that he was afraid of his army. But anyway, Duryodhana says like that. For that, Bhishma replies very beautifully. He says, In my long life, I have not prayed God for any favor. All that I achieved by my self-effort, Swayam Shakti, Atma Shakti, I got everything. I never prayed any God for any particular favor. But only at this point of time, this is the first time in my life, I feel like praying. I feel like praying. It doesn't even say that I'm praying. It says I feel like praying to one wind god. It is not the wind god, wind god. So that let the wind god blow from that side to this side. At least the few words that Krishna is talking to Arjuna may fall on my ear. I feel my life blessed. See, such a great person is there by his side. But look at the stupidity of Duryodhana. Doesn't even understand that. He says, what is there they must be discussing? They must be discussing about how to run away from this battlefield. For them, Bhishma says, look, you have been stupid all through life. I can't expect anything better than this from you. So this is what is the state of Duryodhana. He was very happy, ready to fight the war. Arjuna had the problem. And then Bhagavad Gita emerged. One very important thing that we need to understand is that somebody is suffering from anxiety, somebody is suffering from sensitivity. We should compare ourselves with Arjuna, not with Duryodhana. That is why we require Bhagavad Gita, we require the message of yoga. And the message of yoga that Bhagavad Gita gives to us cannot be a message which says what is right, what is wrong. Do good, don't do bad, is not the message that Arjuna is getting from Krishna. Because if good and bad is the message that Arjuna is giving, Krishna is giving to Arjuna, Arjuna would have easily said that, look, I have lifelong followed good and now I am in trouble. There is no good that you can ask me to do which I have not done. I have already done everything that is good and I have a problem. So can you please tell me something beyond that? That is the stand of Arjuna. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is not giving us a message of what is right, what is wrong. In fact, to give a message of what is right, what is wrong, you don't require a Bhagavad Gita. You require a simple traffic policeman is good enough. You know, he can tell you where to go, which side to go, which is wrong way, which is right way. You don't require a Bhagwan Krishna to come and say. We don't require a Bhagavad Gita to come and say. A simple civic rule is good enough. So please don't ever think that the message of Bhagavad Gita or the message of yoga is not to know what is good and what is bad. It is something which is beyond good and bad. This is where Bhagavad Gita scores much, or the Upanishad knowledge scores higher than all the other so-called spiritual texts. All the other texts will give us what is right, what is wrong, what is good way to do, what is wrong way to do. This is what the other knowledges will give us. Tell lie, don't tell lie, tell the truth. Don't hurt others, love somebody else. These are the simple things which any ordinary text can tell us. Any ordinary person can tell us. And then you can also create a system to implement that. The judiciary, police, all these things can implement what is right and what is wrong. We don't require an ashram. We don't require a yoga center. We don't require a Bhagavad Gita to give us this message. If Bhagavad Gita is giving us a message, it is something which is beyond good and bad. Arjuna was suffering and Arjuna required a message which is beyond good and bad. That's where you can see that in the beginning, Arjuna talks as if he knows everything. This is where beautifully our Bhagavad Gita Shloka Sangraha starts. Ahobata mahatpapam kartum javasitavayam yadrajya sukhalopena hantum swajanamudyata. This is what Arjuna starts with. What a beautiful way Arjuna talks about. He doesn't even raise a question. In fact, there Arjuna says to Krishna, hey Krishna, what is this? You know, we have never thought about this particular aspect of it. Suddenly, how wonderful that it occurred to me that with the greed of the happiness of the kingdom, we are here standing and creating such a great havoc. All these people would be killed. I mean, as if the war just suddenly happened here. War has already been, did not Arjuna know that war is going to come? He knew it. Not only that he knew it, he was preparing for the war. He was preparing for the war right from the day when this robbery of Draupadi took place in the court. At that time itself, Arjuna says, look, I will kill you with this same thing, and then see that with that blood, all these things that I will spread this whole. So like that, Arjuna knew that war is going to take place. It is not that today he jumped into the war. Why suddenly he started thinking about this war today as something which is very bad? In fact, he says that why are you pushing me to that Tatim Karmani Ghore Mam Yo Jayasi? This will become suddenly the Ghora Karma. And then here Arjuna looks at, says as if he has the knowledge. Aho Gata Mahatpapam Kartum. This is such an extraordinary, treacherous activity. Kartum Vyavasitavayam. Even you and me, we are here. It is like he never looked at Arjuna Krishna as somebody who is knowledgeable. He says he took him as friend. And that's why he says, look, we both are standing here. It did not occur to you, but at least it occurred to me that we could save ourselves. So look at the state of Arjuna. Arjuna was having arrogance of knowledge. And he was suffering. And from there, he goes slowly surrendering himself. In fact, the greatest tool for Raja Yoga is to have a body. If you have to do pranayama, you must have breath. You should be able to do various practices. A proper asana is required to do meditation. So like that, these are all the various requirements for Raja Yoga. You must have the willpower to do the Raja Yoga. So these are all the tools that are required for Raja Yoga. Whereas what is the tool that is required for Jnana Yoga? The tool for Jnana Yoga is this aspect of humility. Arrogance is opposite to Jnana Yoga. The tool that is required for Jnana Yoga is the humbleness. That's what the next sutra that we hear. He says, Tadvidhihi pranipatena paniprashnena sevaya upadekshante te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. And this is where, it is like the way, when the knowledge becomes arrogance, it is like the hot blistering sun. Whereas, when the moment the surrender occurs at that point of time, the humbleness occurs, it's like the rain drops of water which are there to quench the earth. Make the weather feel cool. So it is something which is really cool. That's what is the idea. When Arjuna comes to saying that, Tadvidhihi, know this knowledge. How do you know this particular knowledge? Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. These are the three important characters that we need to understand. Pranipata, that means to say, you need to really prostrate horizontally. You know, standing vertically, standing tall is the arrogant, sign of arrogance. Standing horizontal, that means to say, when you stand up, actually the blood rushes into the head, and that means to say you are thinking, activity and all that. You are using your knowledge. That's when Arjuna says, you know, in the first step, Aho Bata Mahatpapam. But when he is humbled in front of him, this is what even the modern psychologists also knew, that when you become soft, humble, gentle, when you are horizontal, that's the moment your mind opens. That's why in Freudian psychology, when they are doing the psychoanalysis, they ask you to lie down on a couch. When you lie down on a couch, that means to say, when the body, head, everything at the same level, then the mind becomes calm, mind becomes cool, and you become humble. That's what is the idea. That's one of the reasons why whenever we meet somebody else, whenever we feel humble, we not only fold our hands, but we go down our head. Going down the head is a sign of that humbleness, humility. Pranipatena. But then at the same time, humbleness does not mean going by the blind faith, but humbleness also goes with questioning. But questioning is of the nature of trying to understand. There are three types of questioning that we have. One type of questioning is the type of questioning we have nothing else to do, just to pass time that you question. You know, children often do like that. They want to keep conversation with the mother. That's why as they keep going, they ask that question, why this cat has 4 legs? Why the dog has tail? It has no reason. The mother also does not know what to give an answer. Give some answer or the other. So it goes on. This is what is the kind of question that the children have. There is nothing like curiosity behind it. It is just a questioning. It is forgotten the next moment. The second type of questioning is that you question to show your intelligence, your knowledge. This is what is arrogance. That's what is called as vivada. Vivada is the case where you are not going to agree, or you question in such a way that somebody has to agree with you. You question in such a way, wanting to get the assurance from somebody else. This is not the way of questioning. The third questioning is what Arjuna goes there with Krishna. That's what is samvada. Samvada brings about the development within you. Why do you have to question when you don't require knowledge? The questioning has the real purpose of the questioning is to develop the knowledge. Like the way that you take food to improve your strength, the same way that you question so that you get your knowledge. When can you get your knowledge? When you are in the state of surrender. Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena. And then the third important thing is sevaya. Upadeshantite jnana. Why this seva has been included? That means you serve the teacher. What is this idea? Why do you have to serve the teacher? You serve the teacher because you are looking at the knowledge which takes you towards that peace of mind. You are suffering, you are in trouble, you are in anxiety, you are in a state of mental disturbance and you want to go towards that peace of mind. Where do you go to get that peace of mind? Where somebody has that peace of mind. The teacher himself has the peace of mind and you are going to that teacher to get this knowledge how to go towards peace of mind. One of the important characteristics of the peace of mind is he is so peaceful that he has nothing to talk. When Buddha reached that state of peace of mind, Buddha would, when he went into the deep samadhi, he came out of that samadhi and was sitting peacefully. He never talked because the talk is opposite to peace. Every talk is against the peace. The Guru doesn't speak. There is no reason for him to speak. Buddha did not speak. And it is said that gods and goddesses come to Buddha. All the saints and sages came to Buddha from the ancient time and requested him that one in thousands of years, a person like you will get that realization, and why don't you please transmit to the people? Why don't you say a few words about that? Buddha said, the moment that I say these words, it becomes no more the jnana. It becomes ajnana. It becomes not the knowledge, and people will mistake that. That's why I keep silent. I don't have to speak. The Guru doesn't have to speak. But then this sages saint said to Buddha, but then why don't you speak? Whatever that experience is there. But the people will mistake. People will not only mistake your words, they may mistake, but now they mistake your silence because you are sitting silent. People do not know that you reach that high state of samadhi. Buddha said, anyway, then they are going to mistake my words, let them mistake my silence also. But then they say this, they said, there are some people who are waiting for that small little few words which can help them to grow beyond. And you are denying them that particular growth. You become a teacher. So that is why Buddha started speaking. He could not say anything else. The teacher speaks only when he is pleased. So that is why when the student takes care of the teacher in the form of sevaya, at that point of time, the knowledge flows out of the teacher. It is not that the teacher has to speak, but the knowledge flows out. Like the way sun gives light spontaneously, like the way the flowers spread the fragrance spontaneously, like the way the fruits send the invitation to birds that I am ripe, like that, the teacher's knowledge is the one which helps us to grow, so that we can also become peaceful within us. So for that reason, that pariprashnena sevaya, and then upadesha comes. Upadeshantite. In fact, there also, it's a passive word. Not that you ask some question, he gives an answer, but the idea is that Upadesha comes from him. Why? The simple thing is that I am at the plane of ignorance and the teacher is at the plane of knowledge. The questions are from the plane of ignorance, the knowledge comes from the wisdom. So let the knowledge flow from the wisdom. That's what is Gnana Yoga. Thank you.